What is up, NFL fans? As I say repeatedly, do not adjust your television, computer, YouTube, smartphone, Google Glass screens because what you're seeing is real. I'm here. I'm back from Canton, Ohio. I went to the Fantasy Football Expo, which is by the Hall of Fame. Incredible time. Anybody who I met out there who I plugged into legit football, you're welcome for all the fun times and laughs and joy that will be had by all. I'm here, Kevin Phillip Fox, with the Legit Football NFL podcast, and I'm ready to take on the world. However, as you all know, I have a rule. I don't take on the world alone. And every great hero needs his sidekick, and I'm happen to just be the sidekick here to the great Adrian Ravito from Down Under. Adrian, welcome in.
Let's be honest. Let's be honest.
I'm the sidekick.
You are not the sidekick. You are
obviously
the beating heart of this machine. And we know it. The people know it. It's okay. I'm comfortable. Look, you know what?
That's beautiful.
Robin looked okay sometimes, I guess. I could be
That's
Robin
poetry.
to your Batman. Happily.
So if I'm the beating heart, I would say McFadden is the mind. That would make you what? Like the arms?
There's a real
the right hand. You're the right hand.
There's a real NSFW reference here where I'm down under because I'm from Australia.
Yeah, you know what? I almost said a bad word too, but we didn't, because God's working on us, bro.
I feel ya.
God's working on all of us. Well,
good to see you back, man.
It's good to be back. I miss NFL stats, Jimmy Ray. I wish he was here to chop shop with us. It's always the best when Jimmy Ray is here. Alas, not the case today. Just you and me, and we have so much to get to. So without further ado, Mr. Adrian, why don't we start off with some news? Why don't we start off around the league?
Well, we are going to start there, and I know you're not going to like one of the names. I'm sorry. I know. I was going to actually message you about this because I just
Too soon. We're skipping
it. But there's two huge injuries we have to address. These are look. There's been other ones, obviously, and we've talked about some on the last show, Jimmy and I. And there's been some minor ones that I've left out because we have a lot to get to today.
Yeah,
but these we have to discuss.
Yeah, I think chief among them, the torn meniscus of Vikings rookie quarterback, sensation, you might say, dazzled in the preseason opener. J.J. McCarthy out for the season. Rookie season was over before it began. Really devastating stuff, especially for Vikings fans who, geez, Louise, when you look at the rap sheet of their offseason, Adrian, it is just, it's devastating, really. There's no other word for it. Their fans.
I just brought it up for that reason.
Oh, yeah. Why don't you read it off?
All right. Here we go. So I'll leave out some of the more minor ones. So you've got, all right, Jaron Hall doesn't count. Quarterback doesn't matter. Justin Jefferson has a hamstring injury. It is light practice, so hopefully it's nothing serious. Alexander Madison out with concussion. Nick Mullins, another quarterback off there. So they've got three quarterbacks. Am I looking at the right? No.
Sam Darnold.
Sorry, I'm looking at the wrong injury report. Can I?
Yeah, you can redact. Really quick, while you're doing that, we have Armand in the chat. Armand, by the way, you were taking some shots in my absence. I didn't forget. They were hilarious, though. I was laughing, but I was laughing through tears, Armand. You have a way to go to make it up to me for your jokes. You're teasing, if you will.
Let me update myself here, and then I'll hit Armand, who dropped some bangers in that Jimmy and Adrian app.
He did drop some bangers, and it's all love. We got a laughing face and a winking face, which goes to show you that he really was just kidding all the times he was absolutely destroying my life publicly. It was just jokes, clearly. No, they had a young player pass. They had a young player get injured for the season. Jordan Addison with his DUI. Jordan Addison with his injury. It's just unfortunate to be a Vikings fan right now. When it rains, it pours.
Shaq Griffin, TJ Hawkinson, Tonyan, he's kind of backup Tonyan, doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Najee Thompson's out. So they've got a couple corners going out, they've got a couple tight ends going out. And McCarthy obviously being the biggest one. He was playing well, like you said, he was doing really well. Sam Darnold was not playing bad by any means, so I don't think they're in terrible hands, but I think all Vikings fans wanted to see JJ McCarthy in by midseason.
Yeah, I'm devastated for them. And I think here we go. We have 49ers faithful forever, who we always love to see. We got a classic yo-yo, and then Armand being punished by Reddick and the Jets. So we're even. I'll give you that. At least I'm not a Jets fan. Yeah, that's true. That's karma right there. Yeah, Kyrie Jackson, just devastating. So not an ideal time to be a Vikings fan. It's the darkest before the dawn. Stay locked in, guys. NFL fandom is not easy. It's not for the faint of heart. So just take deep breaths. Try to remember that it's a long season, and apart from, I mean, at the end of the day, apart from a player literally dying, like it's all it's a game, and we do it for we do it, we play it, we talk about it. It's all for fun. It's all for the love of the game. So try to remember that when it feels, because when we get to the Milano thing, I'll address my hello darkness, my old friend moment. But in the meantime, you have to remind yourself we're fans of a sport, like a bunch of grown men who go out and wear little mascots on their helmets, little pictures of animals, and they wear like superhero tights, and then they go and they try to catch a ball. Like, let's be real, like, the life thing is tough, but the injury thing is it doesn't
Yeah.
soften the blow. It's still a pain in the butt, but you know
I feel you, man. And look, it is, and I think players like, and we will get to Milano in a second. Someone like JJ McCarthy, I think it's a bit of a gut punch because you kind of feel like, is this our shot? Is this our shot to turn the
yeah,
organization around? Not turn it around, because obviously they had Kirk Cousins prior, who was, was an above average quarterback at
sure.
times. He would, and we've talked about how streaky Kirk Cousins was. At times he was like top 6 in certain like runs of 3-4 games.
Yeah,
But to have to now wait a year to know whether he's the guy, like preseason is great, but it doesn't show you
it
enough.
hurts. Yeah,
Yeah,
you
it
lose a
really
big
does.
chunk. I will say I'd be a little more optimistic if he was able to come back this season.
Yeah,
I will say I've seen a lot of rookie quarterbacks or young quarterbacks get injured, and then seeing the game from the sidelines, it slows down. It allows them to sort of regroup and get the full picture, right? Like, see it from a different perspective. So from a mental perspective, and from like a growth and an adversity overcoming perspective, this could be good for McCarthy, right? Like blessing in disguise, kind of, in a weird,
yeah,
gross kind of way. Because you're,
I
you're
get that.
probably not going to win a bunch of games anyway, but you'd love those reps under your belt.
Yeah,
He seems like the kind of kid. He seems mentally tough. I think he'll get the reps mentally, and he'll come back stronger. Um,
yeah.
so
I do get
devastating
that.
regardless.
I think the reason it's a lot harder to swallow for fans that I feel for them, really do, is someone like the Colts, and that, well, to look to the great NFL stats. You saw Anthony Richardson in a few games. He's the dude. They're like, and when I spoke about the Colts when he got injured and praised them, saying they took him out for the season. They did it right. They repaired the injury, and hopefully he's back 100%. JJ McCarthy flashed, and he absolutely looked good, and he was making quick decisions. He wasn't holding the ball too long in the preseason in
That's
the
big for a
limited time
young
he played.
player. That's big for a young
Absolutely.
player.
It's like it's usually like the rookie year is 101.
Yep.
And but it's not enough to know that he's the guy yet. And so now you've got to wait a year before you even know he's the guy. It just it sucks. And it sucks for Vikings fans, and it sucks for football fans, because so far the rookie QBs have been playing pretty good.
It would have been nice to at least have seen one more in the full slate of action, but alas, it wasn't to be.
What it
Devastating.
is.
Uh, Viking salute, skull. Bagpipes playing, and hopefully we get him
I
back
can't go
next
that
year.
far.
Yeah, you won't do that. I'll drop a
Yeah.
skull. I'll drop a skull in the chat for the Vikings. But yeah, the other one, the other injury that we're going to be talking about is Matt Milano with a torn bicep. Just, you talked about gut punch, really, as a Bills fan, like, and I'm just really happy I can talk about it here, right? Like Brian McFadden, whenever bad things would happen to any of our teams, he would say it's therapy. This is our therapy, right?
Yeah.
We're processing, we're talking about it. Um,
Hold on,
I ref
wait. Hold on. Where is it?
Thank you. Buffalo Bills, off-ball linebacker, Matt Milano, torn bicep, out until at least December, could be for the whole season. Very likely will be at least three-fourths of the regular season. Really tough, especially given that we lost Milano to a fibula fracture for the last, 14 games of last season. Just the way the cookie crumbles sometimes. And I've gone through the stages of grief. It's gotten a lot quicker. The older I've gotten, the more I've experienced as a Bills fan. My stages of grief kind of happen a lot faster. Because there is that moment, right? Especially when the Bills dealt with the injuries that they dealt with last year. Don't forget, they were on their linebackers 7 and 8 for the playoffs last year against the Chiefs. Almost won that game with AJ Klein coming out of retirement, family vacation style. They didn't, right? Obviously, Tyler Bass missed the kick, Diggs dropped the pass. That's what happens. But it's hard not to feel that, oh, we're snake bitten. Oh, we're cursed. It's hard not to feel that devastation and make it, woe is me, the universe is out to get me kind of thing. That's kind of like a normal, very human fan thing.
Mhm.
I kind of ran that gauntlet, especially as a Bills fan with what we've been through. But I'm reminded that we have a young stud linebacker next to him, Terrell Bernard. We have a young, in my opinion, looks like he's going to be a stud, brand new first time defensive coordinator, Bobby Babich. I'm really excited about him. He's got juice. If you haven't watched his clips or interviews yet, like look up Bobby Babich and like watch a press conference of his and tell me you don't believe he doesn't say next man up because it's what you say in these situations. I think he believes it.
Yeah.
I really do. I think he's cut from that cloth. He's young, he's hungry. I think the defense was desperately in need of a makeover after running the McDermott Frazier defense for the last half dozen years, and we've plateaued with that unit. So even though I don't know if this is the Bills' best chance to get back to the AFC Championship or contend for a Super Bowl, but I think change was necessary, and change is going to start really, really sweeping through. And the Milano stuff, I mean, it's not the kind of change we're looking for right now because he's an all-pro and he's one of the best off-ball linebackers in the NFL. But it's the way the cookie crumbles. It's the way it shook down. At least it's not out for the year, Adrian. Did I miss anything? I kind of brain dumped there. I gave you two minutes and 30 seconds.
No.
So
I love when you wax poetic on the Bills. No, I don't think so at all. I think look, we talked about this when he first got injured, and I remember specifically saying that Matt Milano is one of those off-ball linebackers who really swings the defense. Like, there's not a lot of them in the NFL that are sort of just like they're
kind
an
of a
anchor in
dying
the team.
breed.
Yeah, and they were kind of getting paid as such over the past couple of years, but I think it's
Absolutely.
starting to become obvious that they're a lot more like kind of necessary, and having a quality one is something you hold on to. So it
Absolutely.
really sucks to see him go out. I was looking. I was honestly, he's one of those players, and I love the NFL, and I talk about it here with you every week. But at my heart, I'm a casual fan, and I love offense, right? Like like
Right.
I
Naturally.
can't. But there are some defensive players that I like to watch, and Matt Milano is one of them. So that really sucks. And it sucks for the Bills. But I think you're right. You got pieces, and you've got the right person in charge who hopefully brings you guys back from it. So I have faith you'll overcome.
Yeah, man, it's devastating and it's not ideal, and we had to really change the defense when he went out last year. So hey, on the bright side, at least it's before the season. We're not even implemented. We still have two preseason games to tinker and figure out exactly how the defense will line up and exactly how they'll overcome it, right? It's kind of like the benefit of having time to
Yeah.
still tweak with things, even though you'll miss them for more of the season. But it's the way the cookie crumbles, just like the Viking stuff. Really, apart from a guy dying, it's all just football, right? Like, let's keep it in perspective, right? Even though,
Love it.
I wanted to put my fist through a wall when I got the notification. I'm not kidding. Like I said, stages of grief. I'm
By
coming to you
heart.
guys after taking deep breaths, but I wanted to snap. I wanted to throw my laptop, but I didn't because God's working on me. Adrian, we have a fascinating story with CD Lamb ever unfolding, and it's just getting more and more ridiculous.
It's so
Jerry
weird.
Jones coming out and saying, we'd love to have CD Lamb here, but there's no urgency. CD Lamb quote tweeting it with an LOL. Now we're getting a report that they're not offering him a competitive deal. Adrian, wax poetic. What the hell is going on?
So we talked about Lamb extension, me and Jimmy, that week you were there, and we sort of had him in the tier of like just it's going to be done any second now. And then you're right, Jerry Jones coming out saying it's not urgent, and like I don't know if you watched the interview where he said it, but the reporter was like, "Why do you say that?" And he's like, "I went to college, I went to high school. I don't know why I said it. I just said like it's kind of like." I love Jerry Jones as an owner. Is about as like eccentric as they come, but it's just getting to the point where sometimes he's making some like boneheaded moves. And I understand. I mean, how old is Jerry Jones? I won't Google it, but I'd assume he's in his 70s or 80s, right?
I feel like Jones has long since been past the stage of being a good GM and owner.
I,
I think
I'm,
he's
I'm
I think it's a clown show now, to be honest with you.
81 years old, and so like, who can blame him, right? And no, none of us are going to be that sharp at 81, but it's a weird thing to do. It's weird to not have Lamb's offer out there. So what the reporting is that they're not even at 33 million a year, which
Which is what Ayuk just got offered, right?
yeah, and Justin Jefferson got 35, and Lamb is like, if Justin Jefferson is the clear wide receiver one, Lamb is number two, and he's also dealt with less injuries. Uh,
Yeah. If you pay Jefferson 35, I think you got to pay Lamb 34.5.
if or even really the way contracts work, and we know that he's probably not better than Justin Jefferson, but the way the NFL works is you get, you reset the market, you make him 35.1, just so
Yeah.
you keep these people happy. And you lock this guy in. It's so weird. So there's a chance Dak Prescott, and he's mentioned it in a couple of media things, like chances on free agent market next year where he will make a lot of money. And then now they're not offering CeeDee Lamb. It's kind of like, are these guys headed for a reset? You're probably going to be get rid of your coach if you don't make the playoffs, which I don't think they're gonna. Sorry, if you don't make a deep playoff run, which I don't think they're gonna. You're probably not going to have a quarterback locked in at the end of the year. Just like Lamb's like one piece that is like a commodity. That level of wide receiver that's kind of unguardable. Pay the man.
Yeah.
Brandon Cooks is like out the door, dude.
Yeah. I can't fathom playing chicken with a player of CeeDee Lamb's quality. And
No.
that's what they're doing. And it's not unsimilar to what the 49ers are doing with Brandon Ayuk. But the fact that they at least know what they have when they have him, and they're offering him in the $33 million per year range, that's good. That's what a player like that, a true alpha wide receiver one, should command. Now, the Ayuk stuff is interesting because it's really an ever unfolding melodrama. The CD thing is just kind of, it's one dude, and he's like not showing up to work until he gets his raise. And the Cowboys are like, well, we don't think you're worth that raise. This is what the raise that we think you're worth. And it's like, push is going to come to shove. And I don't see a world where he doesn't play for the Cowboys this season. But every second that ticks by, it gets a little closer to being more likely.
Yep. And I think they will get it done. Like generally teams, this is the thing. I think like you assume it'll get done because in this situation, teams generally get it done. But we're always gonna have an outrageous storyline to talk about during the season, and this could be it. We don't know.
Dude, it would just be like so hard to believe, like almost on the level of like how shocking it was when like Diggs got dealt. Or
Yeah.
like I remember a couple years back when Hill got dealt, when Tyreek got dealt. Like you're
Crazy.
not expecting to ever see them in another uniform, and then boom, one day it just happens. And I don't know. I would say at the time you and Jimmy were very confident, and I remember you guys were thinking that the Lamb deal was one of the more inevitable ones out of all of them.
Mhm.
And now it's like, man, like I
I
don't
will.
know.
I'll say this, right. What I will say is this: if they're not intending to bring back Dak Prescott, and they really want a hard reset, get rid of the coach at the end of the year, like it's not out of the range of possibilities that you try and deal him and get a solid haul, like the Godfather deal, if you can get it.
You'd have to
But
get like what do you like? Lamb is 2 1s, 3
yeah,
1s.
I'd say 2 1s because and if you look at like whenever we predict what someone's worth, they always get less. Even it might have been like a one and a two and some extra. I don't know. But I think for the record, I think that's a terrible idea. I could see it happening in a strange world.
You're not wrong in the sense that like if they really are trying to burn it down, but then you have to burn it down already. It's like last year's Titans. You remember we were all saying, "What are
Yep.
you guys doing? You guys have a good coach. You guys have some good young pieces. Why are you running it back when you could? There's all these levers you could pull for Cap. They didn't pull any of them. They had a terrible season and they burned it down, and a year is gone. 365 days are gone, and they're no closer because of that year than they would have been had they just started then. You
I
know?
agree.
Yeah. Yeah. 49ers faithful forever. He's slinging the crap talk about the Cowboys. Yeah, Armand, that's what we think. That's what we think. The current deal you're saying, is that the current deal that's being offered? Is he currently being offered the second best contract in the league? Armand, follow up with us there, because if he is, I think he should take it.
I don't think he will though. I agree with you, but I think it's just not the way the
Wow.
league works.
He thinks they're in on the tank. So if you're in on the tank, then you need CeeDee Lamb out of the building. You need Dak Prescott out of the building. Yeah, Armand is saying that currently the deal is the second best. You sign if I'm CeeDee, you sign that, because that means you're getting paid more than Jamar Chase. That means you're getting paid more than, I'm trying to think of other guys like
But
Nico
that's the
Collins.
thing. I'll kind of full stop you there though, because it really is JJ, CeeDee Lamb, Jamar Chase. It's kind of like that's the pecking order at the
So if you're
moment.
getting paid second highest, I think you take the money and run.
Yeah, I get that. I just don't. I think because the way that the league works, I don't think he will. I think he'll want to be number one. And
You're right, and they all
being
do.
number one is so superficial these days. You'll get overtaken within the next 3 months. It's just maybe not in this case, but
It's
you get
for the
overtaken.
ego. It's for the
Yeah,
agent's
correct.
resume. Totally understandable. Still ridiculous. Still super BS. Anyways, we have a lot to get to. Is there anything else? I mean, I'd like to just quickly shout out. I've talked a lot about the off-season darling episode that's coming up. Hopefully, maybe next week's episode we can get some Avengers on here. We can all have our off-season darling teams. We'll have to do a chat and do a draft and all that fun stuff. But I just want to further cement, the more the Patriots do, the further they get from God. And the Patriots have traded their best player, in my opinion, Matthew Judon, for a third-round pick. The tank is in. They're not going to be competitive this year. That team might win 3 to 5 games, and that might be generous.
May played good in the loss to the Eagles. We talked about
he's good. He's a good prospect. I like Drake May, but I just feel like they're giving him the Josh Allen Bills rookie treatment, where they're like, look, we've made a lot of mistakes in the past. We have to burn it down to the studs first. You're going to be throwing the ball to Kelvin Benjamin and Andre Holmes and Zay Jones for a little bit, and then give us time and we'll sort it out down the road. That's totally the treatment that rookie Drake May is getting, and it builds thick skin.
I was gonna say, if he comes out of it, if he comes out the other end, he'll be a better player for it.
Absolutely, absolutely. So, Adrian, without further ado, it is time for our
wait.
He's got it.
I've got it.
Not bad. We have a main topic today. We're doing a power rankings draft. So, Adrian called it the power draft. So, essentially, what we're doing is we start at 32, correct?
Correct.
Or 1. We start at 32, and we build our consensus power rankings using our personal power rankings, I'm assuming. And we try to create our power rankings. So we're going to go from 32 to 1. And I say we don't take too long per team, right? It's 32 teams, hour-long episode with a minute change per team. I don't know if we need a timer or anything, but we'll keep those conversations light. I'm sure there'll be disagreements. And the way that this format is structured, we're kind of stuck with whatever disagreements we make. So, it might get contemptuous. I'm never going to let you live down. The Panthers are a wild card team. That will be on your tombstone.
That's for this season, right?
Yeah, but you're not doing it though.
It's so stupid because I've got them on my draft at 32.
Oh, there you go. Well, welcome. Why don't you start? You just gave us the start. Right. Why don't you start?
So let me start. This is what I will say is the reason they're 32, and there is, and I think you'll find in the next 6 to 8 positions, I've got a very clear theme. Bad offensive line with questionable quarterback. So either questionable or bad, straight up bad. Bryce Young, everything hinges on him being better. And if he is better, if he is the dude that they picked him as number 1 to be, they could shoot up this quite quick. And that's where I talk about them being a wild card spot. But at the moment, they lost Brian Burns. That's a big loss. Yes, they added some pieces around Bryce Young, but he needs to play better. Yes, Dave Canales is here. And Dave Canales is a proven commodity for quarterbacks, but he's got to do it again for a third time with probably what I would say is a less, not even what I would say, factually, a lesser team than what the Bucs were. And so for that reason, until they prove it, I'm ranking the Panthers as 32.
That Bucs, that nucleus, did win a Super Bowl, half decade ago, not even. So I agree with you, objectively. I have the Panthers at 30 on mine. So when I get to 30, it'll be a little different. But my 32 team, so I'm getting my 32 team at 31. I got to go with the Broncos.
Oof.
I'm probably the least in on Bo Nix out of all the rookie quarterbacks. They have questionable weapons. We don't really know if Javonte Williams is going to be anything. Jaleel McLaughlin, Audric Estime, Cortland Sutton, Jerry Jeudy's out of town. They got a bunch of wide receiver 4 or 5 types. Will any of them ascend? We'll see. Sean Payton, 49ers faithful forever, is calling him out. I don't think he's great either, and their O-line's bad, and they have 130 dead cap hit on Russell Wilson. So financial reinforcements are coming. This shouldn't be their place for long, but for now they are my 32nd team. And so far, where did you have the Broncos at?
I had them at 30. So there's we
just flipped, but we're right. We hopefully our next couple teams are the same. But you're back up with, if you want to say anything about Denver.
I'll just look. All I'll say about Denver is why the reason it's so low as well is aside from a questionable quarterback, even though Bo Nix has played well,
and questionable weapons.
Their defense sucks, dude.
Terrible.
Patrick Surtain's probably the only.
The only
player.
Yeah. Great name.
Yes. All right. So PS2 is good. All right. I feel like you're not going to have these guys as low as I've got them, but I have them 31, so I'm getting my 31 at 30, which is the Giants. Is that are we in consensus there or no?
I have them at 28.
Yes, I had toyed with the Giants at 32. I'm
It's
really,
fair.
really out of them.
It's fair. Daniel Jones, especially coming off of a torn ACL, it's fair. I personally think the acquisition of Brian Burns, I think Malik Neighbors is great. Daniel Jones has been great in the past. We'll see if he can reclaim any of that magic. I'm not mad at it with them so low because of how bad last season was, and they lost Saquon. Their RB1 is Devin Singletary, but they have better.
And
To
you
me,
love Singletary.
I love Singletary. I love them. They have better weapons than Denver. I think they have a slightly better line, but their line's still garbage, and their quarterback is also really bad, but more proven than Bo Nix at least. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
I think to me, their quarterback has had some success, but I don't believe that was him. That was all Saquon, which they've lost. Their offensive line is a turnstile. They added John Runyon, nice veteran to come in there, but other than that, like they really haven't addressed that issue. And you've got Daniel Jones, who already wasn't good, now coming off an ACL. To me, it's just like it's a spit show over there. And I know you love you some Dable, but I feel like he's kind of lost that shimmer.
For sure. Shimmer gone. Despite the fact that he's really hot now, lost a bunch of weight. A lot of people say
That
it's
is important.
Ozempic. I don't want to, I'll knock on wood there. I don't want to speak on it. That's just the Twitter joke. But he looks good. He looks good. And I think he'll be a good OC again.
Yeah,
If it doesn't work out in New York and Joe Brady gets a head coaching job because he coaches the Bills to a Super Bowl, I'd be very happy to bring Daboll home.
love it.
Not bad. Not a bad start to the list so far. I'm getting my 31 team at 29, but I think it's time. I've already told you how I feel about them, and it's really sad and it's heartbreaking because there was so much potential and this, that, and the third, but I got to go with New England. The vibes are off. The moves have been bad. The moves have been sus. They just traded their best player, Red Sleeve Judon. He's on the way to ATL. And the Falcons, I don't know if I've moved them up high enough yet. We'll have to look and see where they end up.
That makes a difference. The Judon trade for them.
It really does. And they just picked up Justin Simmons. They're not messing around, Adrian. I'm gonna have to take a serious look. That's 2 all pros. But yeah, Drake May's a rookie. O-line's terrible. Weapons are bad. I like their weapons, even though I think they're bad. I'd love to see Pop Douglas emerge. Javon Baker, Jalen Polk. You could really talk about I love Ramondre. He's been an R guy for a long time. Fantasy flag plant. I just think, Adrian, I'm not inspired. I think they've lost it. Do you agree?
High five, because I had them 29 as well.
Look at us.
Yeah, no, I agree. So Drake May he's actually looked okay.
Yeah, I think he's going to be a great quarterback.
Yeah, I talked about it. I sort of had in my notes about them having a pretty talented defense, and they always have. But Judon leaving was like a big piece of that. And
what
whenever
the hell are they thinking?
That was I know he was disgruntled, but man, he was worth more than that.
They're burning it down. They true, and you know what? Maybe we should give them props.
Yeah,
maybe we should give them props for that.
Just because
we roasted other teams that won't do it. Exactly.
Speaking of the Titans,
don't you dare! Don't you dare!
Oh, all right, so hold on. Here is
28?
28.
You feel good about that?
I'm comfortable with that. All right, so hold on.
I protest this. I'll let it happen because it's the nature of the show. We're gonna have situations like this.
Where did you have him? Where did you have him?
23.
All right, I'll tell you what.
No, take it. Say it with your chest, Adrian. We're not backing down today. You're gonna spiel, and then Tennessee's 28.
There's no one I feel worse about above this list than the Titans. So, all right, again, my same team.
In my bottom 4, we haven't even picked yet. That's how different our power rankings are. I love it. That's the beauty of power rankings. They're so subjective. No, you'll see. All
right. So same theme. Terrible line, unproven or bad quarterback. Will Levis absolutely showed some sparks. I don't know if he's going to be that guy. He has looked okay, and reports coming out are good. But it's hope season. They're always good.
Weapons.
They got DeAndre Hopkins injured. They do. Calvin Ridley has come in. Tyler Boyd's a nice addition. Yes, my boy, absolutely.
But Tony Pollard's corpse.
I don't. Yeah, Tony Pollard doesn't excite me whatsoever. I think when I look around the
They
But I
got
look around the
L'Jarius
league
Sneed,
and I try and think
Jeff
about like,
Simmons.
yeah, actually, the Jarvis Sneed
This
is a
is
nice
you.
pickup.
This is you.
No,
You're
I'm not
sleeping
sleeping
on
on the
them.
Titans.
You're
Let
sleeping
me
on
look.
them.
I don't know if they're going to be competitive, but for me, it all hinges again. It's kind of like the Bryce Young thing. It all hinges on Levis beat taking that next step that we don't know he can do yet. And
Yeah.
he's in a not great situation. They have done something to help, but they've got aging wide receivers who tend to drop the ball at this point. I just don't know if they've got an identity that kind of speaks to me. Like, and there's people that as I move up the list, there's absolutely teams you could argue are worse than the Titans, but I
Yeah.
personally just don't feel. I feel more confident in them.
And I will be arguing that, but that's okay. Armand, I was not considering the Titans for my darling team, but this disrespect is making me realize that I
Wow.
might have to. I might have to say it with my chest. I might have to make a bold move. So we'll have to see
I'm
what
for sure
happens.
lower on them than consensus. I don't think to me the Titans are going to be
I'm not
competitive
mad
this
at
year.
you, bro. I forgive you for that. The team that I have in my bottom 4 that hasn't been picked, I have them at 29, is the team that just lost their rookie quarterback and the team that's trotting out Sam Darnold
Ow.
as their starting quarterback, Adrian. Sam Darnold. I get that they have a good core, but we've seen what this guy does. We've seen
But
what this guy
they've
is
got
there
such a
is their defense anything to write home about? They were okay towards the end of last season. Are they going to be good this year? Yes, they have great weapons. They have Sam Darnold now.
I understand, but I feel
Where
like
do you have them? Where do
I've
you
got them 2022. This is a return shot for the Titans. I feel like this was
Good.
taken and
Good.
I
You got what you deserved. You got what was coming.
it was not what
I got him at 29. I'm so low on look, I would love to see Darnold have a Baker Mayfield-esque comeback. I think it would be awesome.
he deserves
But
it.
we've seen him on multiple different teams have multiple different shots. Remember when he was 3-0 in Carolina, bro? Do you remember how bad that team ended up?
Yeah, I know.
The most passing touchdowns he's ever had in a season is like 13. And he's played
Yeah.
full seasons.
I know.
Like
Look, but he copped it at the Jets. I mean, you could say the same thing about Zach Wilson.
49ers faithful forever agrees with me. Armand agrees with me.
I don't,
You might be a little too low on the Titans. I don't think I'm too low on the Vikings, but maybe if I don't know consensus. Like I said, I set this off of just vibes. So
yeah,
if
I need,
other
and I appreciate.
people, if I'm like way off base with how low I have them, then I apologize to the mainstream media. But this is what I got for you, and I'm not backing down
And I
right now
think
at this
that
moment.
remember that we talked about this last season. Brian Flores is the king of making something out of nothing, and they
And he
added
did
some
last
pieces,
year. He
and he
did
did
last year.
absolutely.
Sure.
So anyway, look, we won't spend forever on it. I'm not going to hate you for it. I was lower than consensus because I did do a little bit of looking around at what my list was like. I did same as you. I did a couple vibes, and then I was like, let me see what I did, and I read some things and I moved some pieces around. But Vikings, I was lower than consensus, which means you're even lower.
Yeah,
All right.
I'm crushing them.
All right, this one hurts for me because I was considering these guys for Darling, but it's just like it's the line and the quarterbacks. They're both not good, and I'm talking about the Raiders, which
Yeah.
really this hurts me because I want them to be okay. I love Devontae Adams, we know that. So I'm just typing the banner as we go. So both their quarterbacks have looked okay, and that is the best that they have looked. They've got a terrible offensive line. The defensive line is good. They've got such a good edge rushing duo, and I love me some Max Crosby, but Zamir White is relatively unproven. Josh Jacobs is gone to my lovely Green Bay Packers. And they've got Adams, who is a super duper star, but there is a good chance he'll be off that team and be demanding a trade by week 8. So I'm putting
That's
the
a good
Raiders there.
49ers.
Yeah, I do. I agree with you.
Adrian, I think you're absolutely cooking on this take with the Raiders. I had them at 27, so they would have been my pick had I gotten this pick. So great job. We're in lockstep finally. We finally are super in agreement on it.
I had 27 too, so that's the same as Pats and Raiders have been on point.
Yep. So we're crushing it. Yeah. Could like contender for Darling, but yeah, not good enough quarterback play, not enough of an ascension of talent, and bad vibes, especially when it comes to how badly Devontae wants out. So reasonable to keep them low.
I think for me, you know what? Like
I
Antonio
like
Pierce
Pierce.
is
I
that
think Pierce will be good.
he's got a Dan Campbell vibe about him, and I could
Yeah.
feel like he could rally some players, but I just can't get around the quarterbacks of Gardner Minshew and AOC. So
Now,
it is what it is.
I'm trying to be ethical here, so I'm not going to fudge the numbers. I'm not going to fudge the results. If I have the next pick, and let's answer this question. Armand asks, who has a better record, Vikings or Raiders? I'll say Raiders.
Yeah, I will say Raiders too.
Wow,
I
that's
think
crazy because you have the Vikings at number 22, so that's crazy.
I agree, but I think that the Raiders we're talking about power rankings of the teams, and I think the
Fair,
Raiders have got it
fair.
easier. I know
Yeah,
they've got KC. I understand that, but the
yeah.
NFC North is pretty damn competitive.
I could see the Raiders like they did last year. I could see them Antonio piercing, bootstrapping, running the ball, playing good defense all the way to 6-11 or 7-10.
Yeah.
I don't think Darnold gets that many wins.
Yeah.
Personally, and I don't have anything against Sam Darnold. I've dumped on him.
You're throwing some shade.
I've dumped on him for sure. I'm rooting for him, and I have him in Superflex. You know that I've been trying to trade him, and
he's on the.
every time there's new news, I put him on the trade block just to refresh that notification, almost as a bit. Me and my best friend Kyle, who we finally made a deal today. I don't know if you saw that. We finally made a trade today, but him and I are we're the yin and yang of trades because he does send some pretty good starting offers. But look, I'm all about the journey. Don't get me to where I need to go without the titillation first. I need some back and forth. You know?
Can I say, Kyle? And I thought this was just me. Like, we have been in trade talks so long.
I love it. Kyle is exactly the kind of person I want to be in a league with, except for when he's like, "What is wrong with you? You don't know what you're talking about." Like, no. Like he pulls McFadden sometimes. He'll just flame you for your take, and it's like, it's hilarious. But I love how serious he takes it, and he's always active. Like, shout out to Kyle, man. If you're not a Kyle in your fantasy football league, be a Kyle.
Yeah, be like Kyle. Has he? I have to ask you one question before we move on. Has he sent you an offer that includes Christian Watson?
Yeah, that's what we fought about. We talked about this.
8.
I told him that I didn't want Watson because of injuries, and he was like, "Oh, so you don't want McCaffrey?" And I was like, "Bro, they're not the same." But I feel you. Like, I get it. But yeah, he is doing with Watson what I'm doing with Darnold. Just get him off my team. He's just bad for the locker room. I don't need Dak Prescott and Anthony Richardson and Josh Allen to feel like Sam Darnold's going to take their reps. I'm trying to just get him out of the locker. I want to send him to a good home.
Yeah.
So, Adrian, hit me up after this episode. We'll talk. I have to be ethical here.
Except I don't love it about Donald. There's no way I'm giving you
one. Absolutely. I have to be ethical here. The next team on my list, even though I like them and I like their quarterback and I always root for them, but they just happen to be the next team on my power ranking. So I'm going to do the right thing, and I'm going to put the Saints here. Yeah, it hurts. I like Derek Carr a lot, and I love Rashid Shaheed, but he's banged up. I think Dennis Allen is probably a bad coach. We've seen enough now. I've tried to rally around the idea of him being an okay coach. I love Kamara. I love Chris Olave, but I think we've had enough of an exposure to what they are to know that they're probably going to be a bottom 7 to 10 team in the league. They might still contend for the division because that's how bad the division is, but I think they'll be low.
You know what sucks for the Saints? And this is like the Saints, when you talk about bad vibes, I feel like last year was like definition bad vibes of the Saints. We had like Michael Thomas tweeting mid-game, and even when they won, the fans weren't happy. And they're just like, there's such a milquetoast team with Derek Carr. And I just, what is so frustrating if you're a fan?
Love milquetoast.
Yeah, it's a good term.
It's a great term.
They'll probably go 8 and 9 or 7 and 10, and they won't 100%. Be in a position to take that quarterback that they need. Dennis Allen is not the guy to get the job done. I understand that he has the legacy of being Sean Payton's, like under Sean Payton, but they just need to let go of that era, and they need to reset, and that includes not having Derek Carr on the team because he will get you 8 wins, 7 wins. He won't get.
I would love to see Derek Carr. I heard rumors. I don't remember what team it was. Maybe it was the Vikings. I heard rumors of him being looked at as being traded to a contending team or like a team with a good supporting cast. And I'd love to see Derek Carr just for a year or two at the end of his career have like a not quite Matt Stafford because he's not even close to as good as Matt Stafford, but have that kind of an opportunity to go out there and win some games. Because I think Derek Carr's ceiling, he could have been as good as Kirk Cousins. He just never had the rosters. He never had the opportunities. We all remember that year when he was playing like the MVP and he broke his leg. Hasn't really ever recaptured that magic since. And now a decade later, and feels like one of those just mid to low mid players that just kind of hangs on because he's not that bad. And that's me, that coming from me, that's a painful thing for me to say because I like Derek Carr. So, but yeah, it was time. Where did you have the Saints?
24. So I'm not far off.
Not far off. All right, go ahead with your 25 team. or 24th.
All right. I will say that this is probably contending for my darling team. Like they might be up the front. So I'm putting them here, but in my notes I've literally said could ascend very quickly, and I'm talking about the Cardinals.
Oh, I
Now,
have them
yeah,
next as well.
yeah,
Lockstep.
lot of holes. They had the lowest graded defense by PFF last year, like 32 of
Yeah.
32. They've selected 6 players in this year's draft, so they could that if those players, if some of them hit, and if Kyler is back to who he is, and MHJ is seeming unguardable by all reports coming out of
Yep.
camp,
Yep.
they could jump up this list really quick because we all and me included all forget that Kyler Murray was like MVP for like the last full healthy season and the first half of it, he was like MVP front runner.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
he can be that dude. He,
He's a
and
good
then they
player.
went, yeah.
Another year off
But
an ACL tear, right?
yeah. So I just think I feel like the Cardinals could really swing this around. But looking at apples for apples, looking at their roster, looking at their coaching staff, and everything they've got going, I've kind of there's too many holes to put them higher.
Yeah.
But I'm just caveating this because I don't look stupid in the future. These guys could move right up.
I had them next 2, and I didn't want to be the one to have to do it. So I appreciate your bravery, because I think they're trendy. I think they have good vibes. Like you talk about bad vibes, right? Saints, Vikings, Patriots. They're one of those good vibe teams. They're one of those teams that could vibe their way to a darling status. Really.
Vibe it up. I hear
You're
ya.
like laughing, but I'm dead
No,
serious. Like,
I agree with
so,
you. I really
sometimes
do.
it's just about getting in rhythm. It's just about getting hot at the right time, having the right things break for you, injuries, health, status, players, rookies, trades, whatever. I like it. I like I like the juju around them right now.
I honestly, I'm laughing at it, but I think like the Lions vibed themselves into contention before they were like a
Absolutely.
legit team.
Absolutely. Absolutely. They started out, it was like a good cute bit a couple years
Yeah.
ago when they started winning games and they almost made the playoffs a couple years ago. It was a bit. It was like the Bills when they broke the playoff drought with McDermott in his first year. Like it was a bit. It was cute. Oh, look at how happy they are just to be there, so they can lose 10-3 to Blake Bortles in the wild card round. Like how cute. But then eventually those teams, like we always say, if you're ascending, at some point you have to have ascended.
Correct.
And the Cardinals are contenders to ascend. Next pick, I don't want to make this pick either. This is another team. That's what this middle 8 is. Like this middle 8 is like they really could make us look stupid if they go out there and put together what they're capable of. But I gotta go with the Cardinals. Oh, sorry, the Cardinals. I gotta go with the Seahawks.
Oh, okay, not who I thought.
Another bird team. I love Geno Smith. I love the weapons. I really do. They got Ken Walker, Zach Charbonnet, Tyler Lockett, JSN, DK Metcalf, Noah Fant. They have weapons and they have potential, but they were so disappointing last year that I haven't really been able to let go of that feeling. Wow, 49ers faithful forever. We got a true hater.
49ers hate the Seahawks, even though they're not that relevant anymore. Like,
well, dude, it's Legion of Boom era, man. Those teams, man, they probably big broed the 49ers for a long time. When I was growing up, the 49ers were perennially terrible, actually. The mid 2000s were not kind to the 49ers.
Yeah, it's fair.
But I gotta give credit where it's due. I love the Seahawks. I think they could easily prove me wrong, make me eat my words, but I think 23 is a safe place for them right now. Where did you have them?
At 23 exactly.
Oh, there you go. Look at us.
JSN, if you can move up, you're right. They could be better. They've got a great secondary, but and Mike McDonald should bring that entire defense up. But,
I think I know where you thought I was going to go, and I think that's where you're going to go next because that's where I would go next. And I think you're right.
Is that another potential darling team?
Yeah.
I'm just going to display it right up. So the
Commanders.
It hurts me.
Oh, it hurts me.
Yeah, but you know what? Like this is the
where
thing.
I have
like,
them.
You don't pick a darling team that is in like the top 15, top 14. Like you go for the middle.
That's part of it. So, you absolutely have to. Yeah.
Yeah, I really wish they didn't pick a defensive-minded coach, the Commanders, because I want Jayden Daniels to succeed, and I want him to have that growth that you kind of see. But with that said, obviously CJ Stroud's got a defensive-minded coach, and that worked just fine. They got a good run game. I love me some Terry McLaurin. They haven't named a wide receiver too, like they've specifically called that out. Their run defense was a problem last year, and they've got Montez Sweat there gone. Sorry, Montez Sweat is gone, so they're inarguably worse at that position. I think it's a lot of it's going to see how the QB grows in that system and how he moves along. But for now, again, it's a safe spot. And to be honest with you, if the Commanders are the 22nd best team in the league this year, I would call that a successful season.
Me too. And that's kind of where the darling team, like, you don't always fall butt backwards into the Texans, who, go to the divisional round in their first year, I would have been happy with 7 wins. I would have
Yeah.
considered that a win for my take. So this year we'll look at the Commanders. They're a heavy contender for my darling team. We'll all have to get together. We'll have to do like a draft, or we'll have to draw straws or something, because I have a feeling it'll be a popular darling pick.
I agree.
So let me just read off my bottom 10, because I think we're consensus now. I got Broncos, Pats, Panthers, Vikings, Giants, Raiders, Saints, Cardinals, Seahawks, Titans.
I don't think anyone in your list was not here, so it sounds like we're doing right.
That's every team. So my bottom 10, and then Commanders, I have 22. So that's my bottom 11.
Actually,
so far,
mine are the
think
same.
we
I've got
missed
all. Yeah, I think we're good. I've got my bottom 10 are in the bottom 10 here.
So starting with 21, it's going to get controversial, and I'm going to get in trouble.
Tell me.
I'm going to get in trouble, and I'm going to do it with my chest, and I'm not afraid. And this is why this exercise is weird, because sometimes we won't agree, and our chat might abandon us, but I couldn't look myself in the mirror and put this team any higher with all the question marks, and that's the Jets.
Ooh,
I'm sure
okay.
you probably have them. Where do you have the Jets?
Where do I 10?
Yeah, I think that that's probably closer to what the mainstream media thinks. But a 40-year-old quarterback who wasn't good the last time we saw him healthy, coming off of a torn Achilles, with, apart from Garrett Wilson and Breece Hall, who I absolutely adore, the Reddick situation is really bad. Power rankings take into account vibes, right? Rodgers isn't going to play it in the preseason at all, despite the fact that he's literally coming off of a torn Achilles. His first game action will be the 1-year anniversary of when he tore his Achilles. Saleh, not a good head coach. Exactly. Great defense. The defense could power them higher, but I think the offense has enough question marks, and their chance to win a lot of games, given that they're in a really competitive division. It doesn't feel good, and I apologize. I know I'm lower than consensus. I know there's a reason why Armand hates me, and I'm living it right now, but I have to, again, as a podcaster, I have to be intellectually honest. I don't have anything against the Jets. If they ever right the ship, I'll be happy to see it. But I think this is where they belong personally.
Yeah, that's fair. Look, I'm not even super upset at it, because the Jet season could go. It is like such a is it not a scale? It is a scale, I guess. It's such a tipping point. Like, they could go terrible, or they could go fantastic and be like top 5 in the league. You could go anywhere, but they've shored up their offensive line. I do like that for Aaron Rodgers, but the vibes are not as good. Reddick is like, that's such a weird situation where you trade for a
so
player
bizarre.
and then now he's requesting a trade. So odd.
They could punish me. They could make me look bad. I just want to say that. Like, straight up.
That's fine.
They could be top 10 for sure. They could pass the Bills. It's not out of the realm of possibilities. I just don't think, given the vibes, I don't think it's likely.
Yeah. All right. This one, I would say, I've said this about the last couple of things, but this one personally hurts me more than most.
I know who it is.
Tampa Bay?
Yeah, Bucks. Yep. That was my next team too.
Because I love me some
21-20
Baker.
are the same. 22, 21-20 are the same for me. So
yeah. So it's honestly this hurts me because I love Baker Mayfield. They've got continuity in the building. They've got an easy schedule, so they could absolutely outplay this ranking as far as they go. They actually haven't made that much changes since last season, where they made the playoffs. Dave Canales gone, that hurts. But I just, you just look at their pieces. They're aging. They're getting older. Baker Mayfield has to play above where we've seen him to be able to. He's got to kind of be the reason they win, as opposed to winning with them.
right.
So, and I don't see that happening. So yeah, so the Bucks for me are 21, and I'm not gonna wax poetic too much, because it really.
Baker was really good last year. Mike Evans is incredible. They have good weapons. I could definitely see them fluking their way into another wild card spot, especially with their schedule, their division. They could even realistically win the division. I mean, if the Falcons are a huge threat, we'll have to see how that shakes out. But I love the pick of Buccaneers at 20, and we're in consensus right now. Like I said, nice. 20. Yeah, it's very much looking like just I copied and pasted my list. We're in lockstep now, apart from the Jets. 19, I'm gonna go with the Chargers.
Okay.
And I feel as though this team, well, like I said, we're in the middle range. They all could be better. They have a good quarterback. I don't think he's top 5, but he's probably top 10, top 11. I think Gus Edwards is better than people think. J.K. Dobbins could be back. I mean, it's hard to project that given his injury history, but they could be better than we think. Their defense will be all right. It was pretty bad at times last year, but they still have Khalil Mack. They still have a lot of good players. I think Harbaugh could be a good coach. They're a huge question mark team. They're one of the most shocking, however they perform, it will and won't surprise me simultaneously, because I really have no idea.
Yeah.
So that's where I'm at with my pick of the Chargers. Where did you have them ranked?
I had him 18, but I think everything you said is right. I think if Bosa stays healthy, they've got the best pass rush in the league. That makes a big difference.
Could
Lad
be a
McConkey
huge. Yeah,
is
love
looking good.
Lad. Love
We
Lad.
we,
I
we
like
always say it.
Palmer. I even like Palmer.
Yeah, he's looking good. I'll admit. So,
Um,
but anyway, I won't fight you on it.
A-Bomb.
I think it's good.
Armand, Mike Garafolo revealed that Ayuk and the 49ers have agreed on the first 3 years of a possible extension, although the receiver wants the team to make an adjustment to the non-guaranteed fourth year. Something to watch. We might be able to break the Ayuk news on the air. That would be fun. Thank you, Armand. And thank you for not leaving when I picked the Jets at 21. I appreciate you for understanding.
All right, so I'm going to make it on the fly adjustment here because I had the Falcons next, but now that they've added a pass rusher or they've added Judon, who's not a true edge, but like a good off-ball linebacker, I'm going to put the Jags in next.
Oh yeah, totally. Wow, we're off the. We've lost our synchronization here. I think both those teams that you just talked about are top 13, top 12 teams.
I couldn't bring myself with the. I mean, look, all right. So I'll tell you why. Calvin Ridley's gone. I know Brian Thomas Jr. has looked good in camp and in preseason. Like, I just don't know if Lawrence has shown enough that he's going to be that guy we want him to be. Gabe Davis is only, and you know better than anyone. He's only going to be as much as Gabe Davis can be.
But I like Christian Kirk. I love
do.
Travis Etienne, Tank Bigsby.
Absolutely.
The line's decent.
But all these pieces that they had last year and didn't make the playoffs with. So
yeah, in a meltdown fashion. In an absolute meltdown fashion.
True. So I think, look, until I'm proven otherwise, and they could absolutely prove, with a lot of these mid-tier, usually the bottom 10 are going to be the same. The top 5 are going to be, roughly the same. Everything else in the middle is up for debate, right? So I would say the Jags here, I can understand why we're not in lockstep, but I'll put them in at.
A lot of Trevor Lawrence shade from the chat, from Adrian. The prince who was promised is kind of having some adverse conditions in the middle portion of his career. We'll see how it shakes out for him. He got a big deal. Debatable whether it was deserved.
You have to pay him, though. I understand you have to pay him. I do get it. It's just he just hasn't shown me enough to
I had them at 13. So we'll see what happens. The next couple teams are going to be dicey. They're going to be weird. But I got the Steelers with my next one. I think the Steelers are really inconsistent at the quarterback position. I think you rip the Band-Aid off with Fields and see what you have instead of spend another year treading water with Mr. Unlimited, who is just the cringiest player in the NFL and seems like he's trying to work off of that. But they have Mike Tomlin. They have some decent weapons. I like George Pickens a lot. I love Pat Freiermuth. They have the two-headed monster at running back, really one of the most who's the one to draft in fantasy backfields that we have. Always a good defense, always a well-coached team. They were a wild card last year with Mason Rudolph. Let's not forget that. I have the Steelers at 18. Where did you have them, Adrian?
I had him 15, and I noted that is banking on Fields as QB1 because I feel like he's a better person for that. They don't have the offensive line that it's going to allow for stature. I know Russ has always been mobile, but I don't think he's the Russ of old. So
right, and let's see just how high the Falcons move for you because you're up now. You could take them here, but let's see how high.
I don't think I will. I think who I'll put next. You'll hate this. You'll hate this. You'll definitely have these guys high. I'm putting the Bears here.
Oh, I don't. I have them at 17.
Oh, really? So exactly where I have them. I really
don't mind that.
You'd be mad at that. I just think and Caleb has already shown some things that people were expecting him to show.
He was freaking sharp against the Bills, man. He looked damn good.
Yeah, he made some throws that were like, that's what you want to see. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Processing. He did hold the ball a little long. I'll say that.
He did. Should have got sacked a couple times. I think if that's the Bills' first team defense, he probably does.
Yeah.
But you can always play against who's across.
That one little flip to DeAndre Swift and
ridiculous.
Yeah, it was awesome.
He's good. He's a good player.
He is. But what I will say is you've got him, you got Odunze, you don't there's unknowns that are the stalwarts of that team. Like that. I don't believe Eberflus is a good enough coach. Like he's not, I'm not saying he's bad, but I don't know if he's got an identity. The defense needs to play kind of better like they did towards the end of the season. Yeah. They've got great potential here. And I would be remiss if I don't talk about, even as a Packers fan, I would be remiss to say that these guys could be awesome. Like
they could. That's why they're in the perfect spot. They're at the top of that tier of like, will they be great because they could be? their ceiling is one of the highest out of all those questionable teams, I think. And that's why I have them at 17, right short of middle of the pack, because the team that I have directly at the middle of the pack, this was partly an homage to our third co-host, but also partly they've earned it. I have the Colts at 16.
Yep.
I think you have to give it up for them. AR looks like he could be the real deal. I really love everything I'm seeing. Good vibes. Jonathan Taylor's great. Good defense. They were an eyelash away from the playoffs with Gardner Minshew. You got to give them some credit where it's due. I think they could very well contend for a wild card team in the AFC. I didn't have them making it in our official playoff predictions, but nevertheless, Colts at 16. I feel good about it.
I won't add. I agree with you. I
Where did
actually
you
had
have
them
them?
had them at 16 as well.
Lockstep. We're back.
All right.
Adrian, let's go
Falcons
a
are in.
little rapid fire here.
I was going to
Pick
say
up the
we're
pace a
pushing.
little bit, but I'm not too pressed. Falcons
All
at
right.
15.
Cool. So
14.
Falcons, Kirk coming off an ACL. Obviously, he was playing fantastic. Weapons galore. They've got a strong defense. Particularly, they've got a good, strong run defense. But you don't know what's going to happen. You don't know if Kirk's going to be Kirk after an ACL. You don't know what is Michael Penix going to be in. Really good move to get Judon. Really good move to get Simmons. That moves them up. But 14 ATL.
Yeah, and Titan maximum. Titans and Colts come down to whether or not the second-year QBs are any good. Yeah, and I think we have a little more evidence to suggest that Richardson is good, despite the smaller sample size. His highs were higher, and he didn't have as many lows as Levis. Levis is a little bit of a stressful guy, but I like ATL where you put him. I had him at 12, but only because I'm a little more in on them than I know I'm hypocritical. Mid-30s QB coming off of an Achilles tear. I just think his game will age better. I think he'll bounce back better. He's a little younger, and I think his weapons are insane. Drake London. I love Darnell Mooney, Kyle Pitts, Bijan, who we have here a prediction that he goes 1K. It's possible.
Very possible.
It's possible. It could happen. I think McCaffrey did that. McCaffrey did that, right?
I think so.
With the Panthers. Regardless, I'm stoked with the team that we have at 15 because it's or 13. I have them at 15. You picking the Falcons and Jags so high kind of throws off the middle of mine a little bit because I would have had them both lower, but no stress. I have Cleveland.
Okay.
I think Cleveland belongs here. They have a great defense, but I think Deshaun Watson is an absolute anchor to their possibility if he doesn't step it up. He is holding them down in a way that no other quarterback is holding down their team. If he's good, and he's, a medium to upper echelon quarterback this year, they're top 7, maybe top 5, really.
Yeah. And in the spirit of rapid fire, I won't add too much. I will just say that if Deshaun plays well and Chubb is back to full power, top 5.
Sure, absolutely. I'm totally fine with that. Where'd you have them?
2 big gifts, 12. 2 big
Perfect.
gifts.
So yeah, we're zeroing in. We're catching up.
All right. Number 12, putting the LA Rams.
Yep, I had them at 14. So nice. Good. Yep.
Stafford aging. Cooper Kupp is apparently looking good again. Nakua looking good. Williams and Corum are splitting reps, but and their defense looks surprisingly good despite having lost Aaron Donald. But they have a terrible secondary.
Yeah. Easy schedule. If I remind me, they have an easier schedule, right?
I believe they do.
I recall, and
I'll check.
I think I love Puka. Yeah, the defense will have to see how they hold up without Aaron Donald. It's going to be interesting. But I think Stafford's great. If he did have a hamstring injury, so if he comes back full strength, then I think they'll be a great offense, and I think they'll be able to win shootouts.
Middle of the pack. They got their 17th easiest schedule.
There you go. So yeah, I think with their team they can do great. So Jaguars and Falcons are my next two. I have them at 13 and 12. So my next team that I'm going to get to on this list is this number 11 or is this?
Yeah, 11.
That's exactly where I have them. It's where I think they belong. It's a really good team, really good offense, a lot of track stars. I'm looking at Miami Dolphins.
Ooh, okay.
I think they have to prove that they can do it in the cold weather. I think that they have to prove that they can do it once Christmas music starts to play. It's usually around the time their play starts declining. Mm-hmm. They just paid Tua. He's got to prove he can be healthy. Achan's got to be healthy. Waddle and Tyreek have to be healthy. Their defense is a little hit and miss. Josh Allen has more AFC Offensive Player of the Weeks against Miami than Miami has wins against Buffalo in the Josh Allen era. So
Just saying.
They're little bros, and until they prove they're not, they're 11. Where did you have them?
I had them at 11, but I had another team lower that I'm putting in at 10, and I don't feel I want them lower than this. I'm talking about Dallas Cowboys.
Yeah, I had them at 8, and I'm not mad at you for putting them at 10, especially with the vibes. This is one that if I made this list today, because I made this list when we were preparing for it 2 weeks ago, I might have put them lower. Honestly, the vibes are bad. And shout out to Titan Maximum, who's making a shrinkage joke
Yeah.
about Miami. Love it. And then we have Rams will have a surprisingly good defense with Jared Verse from 49ers Street. Jared Verse is a great player. Adrian,
That's
talk to
good.
me about Dallas. Why are they
All
10?
right, very. They're 10. Look, I think you've got Zeke Elliott as your running back 1. They've got a terrible run defense. They've got Dak, and if they have CeeDee Lamb playing, but like, so you saw them tank historically in the playoffs, right?
Yeah.
And early in the season against the Cardinals, they got blown out. Like they're the type of team that can just drop a loss that they should absolutely get a win. And nothing much has changed. I just feel like they haven't stocked the cupboard behind CeeDee Lamb. At this point, they haven't even stocked the cupboard with CeeDee Lamb. I don't know. And maybe it's just vibes.
Armand, we got to talk about this. We got to talk about the laughing face. Is it just disrespect? Are we wrong? Why the laugh? You gotta elaborate, Armand. We need to know why. Zeke is your RB1 is hilarious.
I agree.
Wow, the disrespect for a former Ohio State legend. I didn't forget.
Who you got a 9?
Next up, number 9. I'm gonna flip teams. On my first pass, I had one of these teams lower and one of these teams higher, but I'm gonna go with Philly here. I think we got to see them put it back together after the pieces really fell off. We had Jalen Hurts suffer really from just a bad second half game plan. He was winning with talent first half of the year, but when their teams caught up to what the schemes they were running, they were bad. They were just and it not just bad, they were like really bad. So talent wise, they might be a top 5 team, but coaching wise, I don't. I've been a Sirianni guy. I've been a defender.
You have.
But I kind of thought towards the end of last year, the wheels fell off so bad that I have a bad taste in my mouth. And in order for me to get that bad taste out of my mouth, I need Listerine, and the only Listerine that they have is going out and putting together some wins.
Yeah.
Where did you have Philly?
9 on the money.
Lockstep. All right. 8.
I didn't want to be the evens because I didn't want to get to this pick.
I'm walking off the podcast. If you do what I think you're gonna do, I'm walking off the podcast. I'll do it. I'm waiting. It's a slow scroll.
I have to do it.
Very suspenseful. You're gonna do it, aren't you? You're gonna do it, aren't you?
Hold on a second. Is it gonna be one of these? Hold on.
I'm gonna scream. Okay. Yeah. It's been awesome podding with you, brother. It's been awesome. We had a good run. Say hi to the missus. Say hi to the kid.
Let me explain. They have lost 6 players who played at least 50% of their snaps last season. Keon Coleman is getting praise in camps. I understand that he's getting first-team reps. 8 is not a bad spot to be. I'm just concerned about the wide receiver depth room of the wide receiver.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like I'm nervous to speak to you about this.
You're nervous because I'm coming in guns blazing, but it's fair. I think it's a little low, but I'm not mad at it. I understand where you're coming from. I think 17 alone puts you in the top 5 in the power rankings every year, in my opinion. He just erases a lot of wrongs.
I know he covers a lot.
He does, and that's
you
okay.
got to give him something to do it with. And Matt Milano,
I had him at 5. I had him at 5. We're not crazy far off.
I know who's coming next. I'll just type it.
The Matt Milano injury, like it justifies your 8 even. Like I almost wonder if I would have them at 8 now.
It pushes back, right?
Yeah, for sure. And there's uncertainty at safety. We signed Mike Edwards. We drafted Cole Bishop. They're both haven't played because they're hurt. So DeMar Hamlin, who I don't want to take any shots at DeMar Hamlin. I think what he's done is incredible, and he's shown pretty well. But it's reasonable. No, I'm not mad at the 8. They got to show us that they can recover from the losses that they've had, and I have the faith that they will. I always do. A bit blindly at times, but I'm not too mad at 8, Adrian. That's where you had them. You had them at 8.
I had them. Yeah.
It doesn't bother me. We'll
I've
get over
already
this.
pre-written this, and
Well,
I've shortened the list so it's not so long. Let's be
no,
honest.
it's fine. It's fine because actually I had a different team there.
Ah,
So yeah,
that
does
on
that
me.
make you happy?
Does a little bit.
Don't get giddy on me after what you just did to me. Don't get giddy on me.
Tell me
Um,
who you had.
the Bengals.
Okay,
I think we need
not
to get
bad.
the Bengals in there before the Packers because the Bengals quarterback is coming off of a major injury, and they're dealing with their own they've had a sort of toxic off season. Really, they could be lower than Buffalo just based off of Joe Burrow's hair alone. So we're being nice here. But I gotta go with Cincy here because we gotta see Burrow put it back together. We gotta see him stay healthy. We gotta see the line protect him. We gotta see how the defense looks. They lost Joe Mixon. They have a two-headed monster of really, honestly, human feces at running back. So we'll see what they put together. But I think your boys deserve to be at least a spot ahead of them for sure.
Well, I'll be objective here, and I'll put the Packers next because I had them at 7. So I'll put them at
Where'd
6.
you have the Bengals?
I had Bengals at 5.
Okay.
Only because look, Joe B is coming off, and and I'll just say this quickly on the Bengals. He's having the first offseason that we always wanted him to have, where he's not injured through the whole offseason, and
Right.
getting some reps in with the team. So
Yeah.
all right, so Packers next. I will say the Packers have, I'm super excited about this season. Actually, I can't wait for this. Like every season, I can't wait, but I'm just feeling the vibes here. Like I actually love their wide receiver room, even though there's no standout one. I feel like Josh Jacobs could have that kind of season that he had when he was leading the league in rushing yards. Um, I'm happy with the defense. Jeff Hafley seems to have brought in the right moves. The secondary has been bolstered. I really don't, and I know I'm being biased here, but I just don't see a real genuine weak spot in the team. Like that, there's areas where they could absolutely improve. There's the quarterback 2, Eric Stokes. It should be Eric Stokes anyway. Like that's not a great spot to have. He's I don't know if he's a starting cornerback caliber just yet. The offensive line and the Packers do this better than anyone, I think. Anyways, they have players that can just play every spot on the offensive line.
Yeah. Love that. Love that versatility.
Yeah. Rashawn Gary, second year off an ACL. Like this is the year I expect him to just explode, even though he has already been great. So I'm not gonna go too long because we're already at an hour and 7.
No
But
stress, man.
I think the Packers. I'm excited for this year.
Yeah, I had the Packers at 7 in my list. The reason I didn't draft them at 7 now is because I had the Bills at 5. So you taking them at 8 pushed them down, and then the Bengals down a spot as well.
Nice.
But I think it's super reasonable. I think your takes are good. I think the question mark, and it's not even really a question mark. It's just, is Jordan Love as good as he looked?
Yeah,
and we'll see. Time will tell. But I
dropped
think a
a
lot of
dime on Wicks in the offseason. So two passes and a touchdown.
Yep.
65 yarded a Wicks.
Good wide receivers, man. A lot of good wide receivers. So this is where Buffalo should be. But because Adrian is the man that he is, I'm gonna take the Houston Texans here.
Nice.
I think CJ Stroud is great. I think he's gonna be a little bit better. Despite my egregious hatred for Stephon Diggs, he makes them better, makes their offense better. The fact that Nico, Tank, and Diggs are all there and can all keep each other fresh, iron sharpens iron. Got better on defense, acquired Daniil Hunter, who's an excellent player. I've always loved this team, and I hate that they're my adversary now. But it's almost like a Padawan, Obi-Wan thing. Like I'll always look across the way and sort of, like I made them. I started the Texans bandwagon. Population one last year.
Correct.
And now I kind of look over at that bandwagon that I've since left due to personal reasons and think like, I hope it crashes off a cliff. No, I'm just kidding. They're good. It's good, and it'll be fun to watch, and hopefully Buffalo can get the best of them, but in the playoffs. But time will tell. I think they deserve to be high. I had them at 6.
Nice. Yeah, look, I had them at 6 as well. The only reason they got knocked back was the Bengals with 5. All right. Home stretch.
All
right. I have a thought here because I want to talk through all these teams. But how do you feel about reeling off your top 4, and I'll reel my top 4 in order and see if we match?
Cool.
I got a feeling we will.
Number 4, Lions.
Yep. Reel off. Keep going, and then we'll talk through.
Number 3, Ravens.
Yep.
Number 2, 49ers.
No.
Oh, we flipped the 1 and 2. Okay, I got the 49ers number 2. They haven't won it.
Hold on, so it would have been Lions, Baltimore. So it's my pick here. So I'm going to put KC in our official, but let's talk about it. And then I get it. All right, so can we start at Lions and then we'll get to KC a
Yeah,
second.
so the Lions, I mean, objectively, Jared Goff, he's proven that he's better than we all thought he was. Is he elite? We'll find out this year, right? Elite quarterbacks get your team at least to the dance, right? Like, I mean, you know,
You're right, but they've
he's got
got
to do
like
it.
such a strong line. Both their lines are strong.
Incredible.
Uh,
Incredible.
fa-
Great weapons. Some of the best weapons in the league. Amon Ross, Sam Laporta, Jameer Gibbs, David Montgomery. Maybe a little something to be made out of the fact that Josh Reynolds didn't come back that people aren't
yeah,
thinking about. He's a
fair
good
enough.
player. Is Jameson Williams anything? Will he be anything?
Well,
Time will
it's
tell.
always the question. It's like every year. It's like, is that the question?
But good defense. I love Jack Campbell. I love Aiden Hutchinson. Adrian, what do you have to say about the Lions?
Yeah, I look. I'm just looking up their depth chart real quick because they addressed they addressed the secondary, which I like. Love Brian Branch. Look, everything you said is pretty much the notes I had on them, and I think just specifically really good line play, particularly on both sides of the ball, tend to be the hallmark of a really good team, a really strong
Yeah.
team. And I think the Lions, if they had, I actually like Goff. I'm the same as you, but if they had a truly elite guy, I think they could be up in the number sort of 2 to 1 to 3
Honestly.
spot. If they had a
Honestly.
Lamar Jackson, like they would be 2.
Yep. Talk about the Ravens. Why are they your
All
3?
right. So Lamar Jackson, in his ever-going effort to prove me wrong, played lights out last year, MVP, as we know. You add Derrick Henry, makes their run game even better. You need Zay Flowers to step up a little bit, but the defense, as always, is looking strong. All reports out of camp are like glowing on the secondary. So I think that you've got all the pieces you need. You've got a fantastic coach. You've got an MVP coming off an MVP season quarterback. Like, what more else do you need? Like, and they've he went through that sort of period where it's like, oh, can Lamar win the playoffs? And he proved he can. So, you absolutely same deal. You need to get to the dance. But they just look so good last year, and they've only gotten better.
Yeah, he's got to be better though in the playoffs, absolutely. But in terms of regular season, like if we're saying what team has the best chance to finish at the 1 seed in the because this is power rankings, right? It's not who's going to finish with the best record; it's who's got the best chance to win it all.
Yeah,
That's why they're not number 1 for me because I think they'll have a better record than KC all day. But I just you brought up Lamar in the playoffs. It's not quite what we need it to be yet.
Whereas Mahomes is the exact opposite.
Exact opposite. 49ers belong at number 2, no question, because they went to the Super Bowl last year. They were the second best team. They haven't lost a ton of talent. Brock Purdy looks like he could be a real franchise quarterback, despite the fact that he's not doing the flashy stuff. He's still good, and he checks the boxes. And Ayuk, if he comes back, and then you run it back with the same teams, I think that would be really cool. But that's just where I'm coming from. I know you have them at number 2 in yours, so you can say why.
How about that?
You can
I will
say
make them.
why. Yeah,
I'll
there you
make them
go.
1A,
There you
1A
go.
and 1.
You can say why you had the 49ers at number 1, and then we'll
All right.
end on the Chiefs.
All right. I think to me, look, the 49ers have the best roster in football. I appreciate that Mahomes is the reason. I'm going to actually, if it's okay, I might just talk about both right now.
Yeah,
And just
go ahead.
mesh my analysis.
Yeah.
So I understand Mahomes is such a unique such a unique player that he alone will put KC in 1 and 2 every year. Even though the offense wasn't good last year, they won the Super Bowl because of Mahomes. He's that dude. And sometimes it feels like KC are just biding their time until because they're going to get to the playoffs and they know that. And then whether they come in as the 7 seed or the 2 seed, they're going to win. That's kind of it feels like that's their mentality.
I hate that.
But as far as looking at a roster and what I feel like a team is capable of achieving in 2024, I look at the 49ers and assuming they keep Ayuk. If they send Ayuk elsewhere, I swap this. He's got chemistry with Purdy. They've got such a good system. They've got their puzzle pieces like Debo. They've got the best running back in the league. They've added Leonard Floyd opposite Nick Bosa. Like you could talk, their headlines, their dot points, you could talk about it all day. And to me, that's why they're number 1. But I cannot. There is always the argument, but KC won, and I understand that, and I appreciate that, and it's not incorrect either.
It's coaching, it's the QB. Like those are the intangible things that to me just make them flipped. But you got to give credit where it's due. Patrick Mahomes has a great case to be the second best quarterback of all time already. Another Super Bowl ring this year, which we all are crossing our fingers he doesn't get, makes him kind of a no-brainer second best quarterback of all time. I got so much respect for the way that they do things over there, despite their crybaby antics and their favoritism from the referee and the league and the Taylor Swift and all that crap. Doesn't matter. You go out there and you do it week in and week out like they do, and season in and season out like they do, you deserve respect. And
Good man.
anybody who tries to discredit it legitimately, apart from just trolling or being a jerk face, which is what I do,
Jerk face. Love it.
then and 49ers faithful forever. I appreciate this. No holds in 3 Super Bowls. Fair. Something to be said. Conspiracy theorists, Swifties, Better Business Bureau, take a look at what's going on there, because I don't know. But regardless, we made it through the power rankings draft. It was incredible. It was tumultuous. There was little chaos, little
I feel
insanity.
good about it though. I feel like we weren't too far off each other. There was a couple of ones there.
We were pretty consistently on the same page, and that was fun. Yeah, you're low. You're too low on the Bills. I'm too low, arguably, on the Vikings. And the Jets. And I just appreciate Armand for not abandoning us when I consistently spit facts about his team that nobody wants to hear.
I love that you called them facts.
Oh, bro. I mean, I didn't lie once.
Sometimes you make me so happy.
Oh, it's so fun. You got to do it, man. You got to enjoy this stuff, man. That's what fandom is. That's what being a football fan, a football analyst is. Adrian, we did it. You got anything you want to say to the good people before we close out this phenomenal, way overrun podcast?
We appreciate you hanging around for an hour and 17 minutes. We love you guys.
Hell yeah. And Armand does point out his 2 flaws. Armand, how high? How high, Armand? You say higher than 21. How high should they be? 10, where Adrian had them? Or 17, 18, where probably realistically they belong?
I feel like Jets fans are
can't burst their bubble.
Their chest is not out though yet, because I feel like Jets fans have been, they've been snake bit too many times to be like,
you can't burst. I don't intend to burst their bubble. 15 to 18. Okay, I can dig that. I think that's reasonable for sure. Anyways, ladies and gentlemen, this has been the Legit Football NFL podcast. He's Adrian Revito from Down Under. I'm Kevin Phillip Fox from Western New York, located in Los Angeles, and we are out.